welcome once again to EWTN's Bookmark. I'm Doug Keck, your host. A very special bookmark. Two guests, Masongo and Sylvia Osong, and their apostolate features something called the Biblezon, and it's a Catholic tablet and available through the EWTN Religious Catalog. And welcome, Masongo.
Thank you
to
for having
EWTN,
us.
And welcome your beautiful wife,
Thanks,
Sylvia. Great to have you here.
Us.
And now, you're the first time you've been on EWTN talking about a very interesting outreach. Now, we know so many people have tablets and these things that they're using. Tell us a little bit before we talk about your background, at least the idea of, for people to get an idea, what is this all about? Why is this different than somebody just buying, let's say, an iPad or some other tablet they can get off of the regular market?
Well, it's different because it's all about your Catholic faith.
Okay.
It has all your Catholic books and all your Catholic apps in one place. So you think of it as your virtual prayer room, like you have a prayer room in your house. So the tablet is dedicated for your Catholic faith and your relationship with God. No distractions from things like the internet, email, text messages. It is holy and secured.
That's interesting because in reading your biography, I noticed you brought up that kind of idea of saying, you know, you create like a Catholic app,
right,
and using it, but if you bring that into, let's say, the chapel here at EWTN or to Mass, or if you're in adoration or something, and you want to use it, you still might be getting text messages, alerts of what the sports events are going on and things like that. And so that was part of your motivating factor, right?
Correct. So before that, I had books. A lot of the Bible, Catholic books, prayers, and all that. So it was kind of heavy to carry them around with me. Then I did a research and I found an app on my phone. So it had everything in one place. But then again, there was a lot of distractions.
Right.
And you're praying, there's a phone call, there's text messages, and all kinds of things. So that's really where the idea was born.
And also, I'm wondering, Sylvia, as far as, you know, the kids, obviously making sure the kids are not necessarily being inundated if they're using it from or going on to websites that may be problematic for where they are, and that's important too, right?
Very important. We can give them the Biblezon and be you know, really happy.
Right.
And you are very,
right, you're comfortable.
Comfortable,
right.
Yeah, because you know they can surf the internet, they can get onto any unholy content,
right?
Because all of that is blocked out.
Right.
So it's kind of, it gives the parents kind of a good
sense of security, really, right? Exactly,
yeah.
That you can feel comfortable to know that if you give this to your child to use it, that he really can't go out and get in or be inundated with things from the outside. That you really are controlling the universe that he's allowed to search in, right?
Correct.
Plus they get to learn about their faith by playing games and reading stories about books in the Bible. So it's really good for kids.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, Masongo, where did you actually come with that idea? Now you're here. You live in Texas now, right?
Correct.
Is that where you are? Okay. But you're not originally from Texas.
No, I was born in Cameroon. That's in West Africa.
Okay.
I came here when I was 23.
Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about your background. Now, I know you're a third-degree knight, Eucharistic minister. You're doing a lot of things today. You consider yourself a Catholic entrepreneur at this point in time. And now you've co-founded 4 businesses, including this nonprofit. How did you become so entrepreneurial, and how did that lead you to decide to do something that was more focused on your Catholic faith?
Well, I studied business in school, basically accounting. And I found passion in business working with my dad. He owned a medical billing firm. And I really got that from him. And right after school, I decided to start my own business. Actually, worked on 2 other projects, mostly in the secular world, medical and software and things like that. And the Biblezon is something that I feel the Lord called me to do. And I didn't feel fulfilled working in the secular world. I thought the Lord was calling me to do something with the church.
Right.
And so I put everything in prayers, and I asked him what he really wants me to do in this life, because I know we all have a mission on earth.
Right.
So I had this gift of business. I had great ideas and all that, but I wanted to serve God. And I prayed and asked him, what do you want me to use my talent for?
Right.
And I believe he called me to do this.
Now, it's interesting because as talking about growing up in Cameroon, and your dad was an account executive for American Oil Company, and your parents sent you to an all-boys Catholic school when you were 11, and you went from being in love with the Mass and being an ideal student to being kind of a reckless, wild youth, apparently, according to your own description, eh?
Correct.
So that you actually went from being maybe the nicest guy in town to the one that least likely that parents wanted to see their other kids playing with.
Correct. Mass 7, from Mass 7 to an alcoholic, drugs and all that. So it was really terrible.
Right. And it's interesting, too, because you make the point and you kind of say, well, you know, I felt like God was calling me, but you had, I mean, you literally heard basically a voice, right, saying,
voice, right.
What are you doing to yourself?
Correct.
Right?
You know, growing up, I always loved to look at the mirror. I started that when I was 10 years old. I look at myself in the mirror for like 10 minutes and just staring at myself and asking the question, who really made me, you know? And that's where my relationship with God started, at the mirror. And my mom used to really shout at me. I'm like, what are you doing in the mirror? And that's where my journey with the Lord started. But then I shifted away from that when I was 13 and I just got into some bad friends and things like that. I wouldn't call them really that bad. They were all victims of the devil. And we started drinking, partying, drugs, women, and all that stuff. And I did that for about 7 years, you know, living this life of sin, being a slave to the devil.
And this is when you were still in Cameroon?
This is when I was in Cameroon in a Catholic school.
He's teenagers.
And I was expelled from one school to the other. I was just a terrible child, and I was the child that no parent would want their kids hanging out with.
Right.
But then one day I was going out to have drinks as normal with friends, and I looked at the mirror that day for about 7 years after. Not that I didn't look at the mirror, but I had been looking at the mirror from a different perspective. And looking at the mirror, I had a voice. What are you doing to yourself? And immediately I recognized that same voice when I was 10 years old. And I fell on my knees and started crying like a baby. And I asked the Lord to forgive me. And he did.
Right. Now, also, isn't there an issue with you were actually, some of your friends were actually, were they killed or hurt in a car accident?
Yeah, that's when I moved to the United States about 6 months after.
Right.
And these were my friends from back home. They were my best friends. We used to go out, drink, and party. So when I came here, we reunited. I wasn't the same person. I was prayerful. They all saw that change in me.
Right.
And I was really trying to evangelize to them.
Right.
But that night, after talking to them about God and all that, their life was taken.
Right. You know, it says I was with them the entire day, and when they dropped me off, they had the accident about 15 minutes later, and they all died.
Right. That was
All three.
All three.
Christmas, New Year of
January 04.
2004, right.
Yeah, January 04. Now, were you guys together during this time period, or you hadn't really met yet? So
We had met.
We had met. I had left Cameroon. She was back in Cameroon. I came over here, right.
Okay. So that's where you guys met, when you were in Cameroon then?
We met right when he had found Christ. Yeah.
And her brothers knew me. They said, don't talk to that guy. He's really bad.
He's a bad guy.
Yeah,
and she didn't see that. She met me holding the Bible. And she told them, that guy's holding the Bible, not a beer, or not doing drugs.
Yeah.
So I believe the Lord led me to her.
Right. Now, had you always been, basically faithful, or were a nominal? How would you have described yourself as a Catholic?
Just, I was a Sunday Catholic.
Right.
You just go to church. Your parents send you to. I actually went to a Catholic elementary school, and got baptized, confirmed First Communion, and all that. But after that, it was just basically going to church on Sunday.
Right.
Some Sundays you don't even go to church, so.
So you kind of go through the motions, but it's not really impacting how you're living your life.
Exactly.
Okay. So when the two of you got together, now when did you actually get married? When you were in the States or beforehand, or did you go back? How did that work?
So we got married 2004. I went back home a year after I had been here, a year and a half or so, right? The death of my friends really not pushed me, but it really, really changed my perspective. We had the plans to get married maybe after college and things like that, but that incident just made me decide, let's do it. And so I went back home. We did the wedding, and she came here like a year after. Okay. Right.
Okay. So how did you end up, as far as what how did the two of you work together? Because obviously, anytime you have like a family business or business like this, an entrepreneur, it really takes both of you to work on it together. So since you're the idea man there, and you've got all this, you know, are you sitting? Do you help on Sylvia with some of the what looks good or what you think might be good for kids?
Of course, I have to, because you know, this is what we do. And I have given up my all, you know. I went to law school. I have a master's degree in law. I could as well be an attorney right now. But my family and his dreams are my priority, because I know it's for the best of our family. So I gave all that up. You know, I'm a mother of 4. We have a 5-month-old, you know.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Okay.
Our oldest is 10. So looking at all that, I didn't want to compete who is going to be going out there and bringing in the money and all that. So I gave that up to support him. Now he's, as you can read or heard, he's been through so many different ideas. And Biblezon for me was like the last straw. I was like,
oh, really?
If this doesn't work, you got to go find a job. You know, because we've been through one business to another. We recently just sold our other business so he can focus on this, because it was kind of stressing him out. You know, you do something, you're not fulfilled, and he wasn't passionate about it anymore. And so we sold that for him to focus on Biblezon. And we eat, drink, sleep with Biblezon, because we're trying to find ways which we can improve it based on our customer reviews and what are the feedback from them. So I try my best to, I do mostly like app reviews. When they do an app, I'll take it, I'll see how it functions and give recommendations for the developers to like,
I see. Okay.
You know, fix it to where it's really, you know, kid friendly, or a lot of our customers are like older women, you know, and they're not very tech savvy.
Right, okay.
So we're trying to make the product as easy as possible.
User friendly, really, right.
It's not been easy.
Right.
We've had a lot of challenges, but we're getting there.
So do you find mostly when you deal with some of the people like that, are they getting it for themselves, or are they getting it thinking about their grandkids, or a little bit of both?
Both ways. They're getting it for themselves and for their grandkids as well, right?
Right. Okay. So obviously it comes, so it's actually, what kind of is this an Android-based system?
Yeah, it runs on Android, right.
Okay. And there's various versions of what's on here, or there's different kind of cases? This is a nice Sacred Heart case.
Yeah, we have a case with the Blessed Mother.
Right.
Right.
Okay. And is this one designed basically, looks more for kids?
That's
younger?
for kids, right.
That's for kids,
right.
And that they have a little handle and stuff like that. And
Take
you've
that
got
faith formation
like
class.
Our Lord with the children on the back.
Exactly.
Right.
As well. What would be different for somebody, besides the fact that the case looks different? Is there any difference between what might be on this one versus this one?
Yeah, this one has more of the kids-friendly apps, games, activities, quizzes, and things that would develop their faith. Right.
Bible stories, catechism,
Bible stories and things like
rosary.
that. Right. And we're going to show some of those while we're talking about it as well, so people can see exactly what we're talking about, since, you know, in seeing and experiencing. Now, is there a place, I mean, can somebody go online and experience any of these kinds of apps that you have to see, like on your website, like how does it work? Would I like this? Would this work for me?
Yeah, we have a frequently asked questions section and the support as well. You can see the list of apps that we have.
We're working on getting videos on there, because we get a lot of requests about, I don't know how this app works. I don't know how.
It sounds interesting,
Right. So we're working on getting a video for where you have an actual user, you know, going through each app, explaining what it does and how to use it. Because sometimes if you look at the Biblezon, the way you go to the next app is you like flip the page. A lot of our customers don't even know you can flip the page. They're like, oh, do I just get 9 apps here?
Yeah, right.
No,
that's all that's here.
You have over 20 apps, and you can. We have a marketplace where you can have, you know, download other Catholic apps onto your device. Say, for example, what comes preloaded is not what you like. You want something else. You don't want the New American Bible version. You want something else. You can actually find that on the
Catholic version.
You can find that on the marketplace, and you can download it there, and you can use it.
So it's really, really flexible, even though it still protects you from kind of like being
Well, it wasn't
from
like
the
that.
outside.
It wasn't like that. Our very first version that came out, there was no marketplace. You just had what we had on there. And that was very limiting.
Okay.
And so customers were wanting more
Right.
and to be able to make a choice on
Right.
what app they wanted.
Right.
So we created a marketplace, which we put in other Catholic apps there after
Right.
reviewing them,
Okay.
make sure there's not too much ads or distraction.
No, exactly. And one of the things is too, I would think with these kind of things that sometimes you run into, people say, well, I like this, it seems really good, but is in 6 months is this going to be out of date and I can't use it anymore? But that's why you're doing what you're doing now, so that's not an issue, right?
So we do update it like
Right.
every month or two, right?
Right.
So you get new apps and new content and stuff like that, right?
Especially with the kids one, we're going to be continuously adding more
Right.
content.
Right.
We plan to do like a reflection every Sunday where the kids, based on the readings, they get to like get a little bit of that like in a simplified form on what that is and what message to take from the readings every Sunday. So we plan to do that. We're working on it. This is just new, so
Right.
a lot of things we're learning as we go. We're hoping one day it will be something where parents will be really, really proud for their kids to have. And I think once we have all those tools in there,
Right.
it will be really good for the church, because a lot of us, I mean, I use the Biblezon to learn about my faith. I'm not there yet. It's a lot of material out there to read, but we have to stay focused because we can easily get distracted
Right.
with all the other things that are going on.
Especially here in the United States,
Oh,
right? I
correct,
mean,
yeah.
it's
Right.
an incredibly distractible
It is.
society we're in.
And people are addicted to their phones and
Right.
tablets and, not even an addiction. It's like
They can't
once-
deal
It's
without
just
it.
become a habit. You just
Right,
get it gets
habit, right.
attached. I mean,
So-
we talk about how years ago people didn't have cell phones. Now, if you get in your car and realize you don't have your cell phone, you turn around and go back and make sure you have it because
Right.
because
So-
it's so different. Now, for somebody who has this, they do require Wi-Fi, right? So
Yes.
I mean, you'd have to have some kind of internet access in your
Right.
house, right?
Well, 80% of the apps work offline, but for you to get updates and
I see, okay.
like the daily readings and all that, you need Wi-Fi, right?
You have some sort of
Yeah,
connectability.
that's the
right.
problem we have with most of our clients that are in like the suburban areas
Right.
who don't have access to Wi-Fi.
Okay.
But we're working on getting like the core apps, like the legislative hours, daily readings.
To work offline, right?
Yeah.
I see, okay.
To have those offline.
So that you could do it without
Yes.
having
Yeah.
to.
Even for missionaries, they can take it around
Right.
the world, right?
We have
Right.
a guy in India. He got it here, but he's a missionary and he's gone to India, and he tells us how good this has helped him because he can carry it with him. And he just talked. The only downside is the Wi-Fi,
Right.
because he couldn't access the Divine Mercy.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think.
Right.
But we're working on getting all those content offline, and like I say, we'll get there.
Right.
Right now, it's just challenging with everything. We're new we don't have a technical background, so but we're working on with some really great guys
Right,
who are
so-
helping us get this out. So
Right. So how has it been out there now? I mean, you've got it out there for a period of time. How many people are adopting it and using it at this point?
So
in
we
time?
launched in November 2014, and we have currently over close to 2,000 customers, and by the end of this year, we're looking at a total of about 10,000 customers.
wow. Okay.
Right, and we have schools that are interested in it.
Oh, okay. That
parishes.
makes a lot of sense.
We
Right.
have a
Right.
school that is using it for, I think it's 6th grade, for the religion class.
So if I wanted to get this for myself or for let's say for my kids or my grandkids or something like that, and so I purchase it and then that's it, or is there a monthly fee after that for the updates? How does that work?
No, it's not monthly fee.
Okay.
It's a
So it's a
one-time
one-time
It's a
only cost?
one-time cost, right.
Okay.
And we have most of the apps are free, but we're going to introduce some paid apps that you can
Okay.
download as well, right?
So
but the updates are free, right?
I got you. So you get this, you get what comes with it, you get the downloads for free that are for the free apps, and there may be other apps that are available that cost you money to, but Most apps are not that expensive, actually, if you look at what they are these days.
I mean, we try to make it as cheap as possible.
Right,
affordable, right?
Right.
Correct.
Right. So you mentioned the parish. I was going to ask you, have you had any response from your local diocese or other places inside the church as to people realizing the value of what you're doing?
Yeah, we're working with our local bishop. He recommended the product as well. And
who is that? Who's your
Bishop Douglas?
Okay.
This hotel.
Okay.
Right. And we are, there's a school that is using the tablet, like I said, and there are other parishes that are going to be testing it for their faith formation classes and all that, right?
Yeah, because it seems like there's a lot of people out there now realizing, not surprising to people at EWTN or Mother Angelica, but the fact the whole catechesis, the teaching, and people really understanding and learning their faith and finding ways to be able to do it using the newest technologies. Right. Because as we all know, young people's attention span is getting shorter and shorter. I mean, ours is. At my age, I'm getting shorter, and I can imagine what it's like for kids, you know, to be able to, and we have to be able to be in, like Mother stepped out into the marketplace of television and cable back in the old days. We have to be there because if we're not there, it's not that our kids won't find themselves there. They'll find themselves there with nothing from our perspective, competing with what's going on in society, right?
Because like in our kids' school, they attend the St. Mark's Catholic school. They're adopting the iPads right now. They have, I think, 10 per class. And that's just to show you how it's shifting from the blackboard, you know. They have the iPads, which is good, but when you look at, when it comes to teachings of the church, I think we need to do more. Because he teaches catechism,
fourth grade.
faith formation, fourth grade, and he's finding ways which can get the kids' attention.
Excited about
excited because they don't like too much lecture. When he's going to show them a movie about a saint, and he pulls the projector and everything, they get so excited. They're happy. They like to watch. You see them, and then when it comes to the lecture part, they're like,
you know. Boring,
So we need to think about ways to get the message to them because they are the future of tomorrow. And if we cannot get our kids to know the faith, I don't think the church will survive. Right.
Well, yeah, I think with those things too, at least the ability to be able to navigate through the difficulties, that at least if you've got the foundation, you know you're always going to have to deal with those temptations in society. And but if you've got a solid foundation, you can kind of get yourself through it and realize why, you know, okay, I see why people would think this way, but, you know, I remember what my parents taught me. I learned this. I have a better understanding. And I think that's an important thing, what you're talking about, too. It's not only knowing what the church teaches, but getting a better understanding of why the church teaches what it does. It's not like somebody sat around one day and made a bunch of stuff up.
It's important, right? Because I didn't know what Jesus really is until I was 20. You know, I went to a Catholic school, but I really had a relationship with him when I was 20. I knew he's the Savior, but I didn't know what that really meant until he really redeemed me from the kind of life.
And what's great about this then too is because in a sense you can personalize it by the kind of, there's a couple of different kind of covers you can get, and I would think you would be able to, you know, you could take this if you went to the chapel to do adoration or whatever, so you can do your readings, or
you can take it to mass, because you know, if you take your phone like to the Blessed Sacrament, you know, you don't feel comfortable, something can happen. It can ring and all that, but with this, and
it almost looks, if you look at it, it looks like a little prayer book. I mean, so it's not even like you know, you go in there and somebody's going, hey, what are you doing with your iPad in here, fella? I thought you're supposed to be praying, you know. And you have this, and you can use it. And again, like you were saying, Sylvia, you know, not only is a blackboard disappearing, but the whole idea, in a sense, of a hardcover book being used by the students, in the sense of having a tablet or something where ultimately they'll download the book into that, and that'll be, you know, may be a lot easier than what we had to do, carrying all our books around and putting them in our lockers and bringing them back and forth. So just before we go, what is really both of yours hope for this long term, for your family and for the other Catholic families out there?
For me, my kids, I look at them and I think I want them to have a very solid foundation. And we as parents have a lot of work to do. And we have to find ways to get the message across. We just have to do the best we can and leave the rest to God. Because the world is a really bad place right now. When you think 20 years down the line, you're thinking, how are our kids being protected from all what's going out there? Like, you can't even watch TV with your kids, you know?
Correct.
Even the kids' channels, you know, there's just a lot going on. Unless you have that solid foundation for them, they can make better choices. And I think with the Biblezon, for our family, we use it every night for prayers. And our kids are really excited, like, who goes first? Who wants to say the rosary? And it gives us joy to see that they're excited about their faith. Like, it's not something that's boring to them.
It's alive.
Yeah, it's alive.
And interesting and exciting.
Right. So we wish that for, you know, all the families out there.
That's great. And let me just ask you, just before we go, Musango, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, find out more about the Bible app, your Biblezon program itself, do you have a web address you can give us?
Yeah, we have a website, www.biblezon.com, Biblezon.com.
Okay, and then get in touch with you.
We also have a Facebook page.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, great. Very good. Thank you so much, Sylvia.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for dedicating your lives for something, such a worthy cause, and thanks for stopping by EWTN's Bookmark.
Thank you.
Musango and Sylvia Osang, and the Biblezon, the Catholic tablet. Go to the website and check it out. I'm Doug Keck. Join us next time right here on EWTN's Bookmark.